Okay, so in this video, let's go ahead and finish up the upper body, which is going to include the shoulder pads, the belt, and the hair. And I guess the teeth and tongue and eyes. That will be the easiest, so let's just start there. Since I don't have a facial rig in this at this moment, these can just all be skinned straight to the head bone. Great. And then shoulder pads should be pretty simple because we have a bone for those as well. So under the upper arm I had, under the twist bone, I have my shoulder pad bones. You might want to just double check that their weights are rigid. So that looks good. And we can play around with this real quick and just kind of see, like, you know, if this pivot makes sense. But when we get into posing, we might want to adjust that pivot. We'll have to see. So the belts. The belts, what I like to do here, we could try a couple different things. Actually, let's just see what's kind of weighted on the base layer here, if it's the pelvis or the spine one. So I'll do pelvis and spine one, because I think it's going to end up being a little bit of both. But let's just go ahead and flood to the pelvis, and then just kind of take a look and see, when we manipulate the spine, do we clip, and how does it look? You know, it looks pretty not great, completely rigid like that. So in this case, what I would do is create another layer and grab the spine and flood it to that layer. And now what we can do, so this is going to obviously, actually doesn't look too bad. But what we can do now is we can take that layer, go to effects, and play around with the opacity to see if we can find maybe like a happy medium. So about 0.8 looks pretty good. So you can see right there it does clip. So let's take a look at this and see if maybe that looks a little bit better. And it's okay if it still clips in some places, because we do have it on a bone, so we can actually set up a pose driver later to help with some of these cases where it's clipping. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. We actually might do more than the upper body, but I think the hair might take some time, so let's this will probably be the majority of this video. So for the hair, we're going to want the head and all of our hair bones. And okay. And because the hair is kind of around these other parts, I'm actually just going to hide everything else real quick so we can just focus on the hair. We're going to start off by flooding this to the head, and then I'm probably going to have a layer for each, like a layer for the two sides, and then a layer for the back. So let's start with the back first. And I believe that one's just this chain here, so we can kind of see through this side a little bit easier where that hair is. And just like I did on like the spine and the arms and the legs, even though this is broken up into multiple joints, I'll start with the top joint and kind of put the weight all the way down. You can do x-ray joints here to see the joints on this side. And I don't know if this hair, no, it's definitely not perfectly symmetrical, so I might not bother mirroring in this case. You can see that we've got some like stuff underneath very layered, so this might be a little bit tricky. There's a couple things that we could do to make this a little bit easier on ourselves too. We could build a proxy model, skin that, and then copy the weights over, but let's just try this first before we go down that path. Alright, so just moving that kind of exposed some places where we have some issues. Not really sure what's going on with this little guy. That's pretty weird, but take a look at that in a bit. I'm not too worried about some of that stretching because we'll address that here shortly. So this is where having the multiple colors is super useful because you can kind of see all the verts that the previous joint has influences on. Could also do kind of like lasso selection as well if you want to go that route. Oh yeah, there's like just this, it's just kind of hanging out there, huh? It's probably hidden by the shoulder armor so you don't really see it. And then here I'm just going to grab that second joint and rotate it back so I can see the spots that get left behind. Like so. So let's do the lasso selection. You're going to want to make sure you turn the joint selection off so we don't accidentally select our joints. And if you did select any verts up here on the sides, that's okay. You can either unselect them or we can also paint out a mask later, which I can show. Okay. And then 4 is down here. Which I guess 4 is up here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Where is 4 at? Okay, 4 is down there. Okay. So now that we have that done, let's go to set weights. I'm gonna go into paint mode so I can actually view what I'm doing here. And we're going to set it to smooth, and we're going to smooth across gaps and thin surfaces. That should help fix some of these other areas. So I'm just going to flood. And now if we take a look, you can see we've got a little bit of influencing happening here. I think that's okay. Cool. So I'll call that good for now. And then we'll do a side hair layer. I might try to mirror these. We'll see how that goes. But this will probably be one where we'll want to do a mask. Because it's going to be very easy to paint on the other side and things like that, and that's okay. I think as soon as we hit, mirror, it should go away. Check the other side. Maybe we can put some of this stuff on there. If you would rather try a proxy mesh, I have a post on my blog about how to do that. I'll put the link in the description so you can check that out at your leisure. This doesn't seem too complicated to warrant doing that, so I don't think I'm going to spend the time to do it, but it can be useful, especially if you're dealing with art that's in production. It might change a lot, so having a proxy mesh actually allows you to kind of have a source of truth for your skinning that you can then copy over to the model updates. It can be pretty useful. Okay, so here's the third one. It's interesting, there's some unwelded verts up in here I can see. Or maybe it's just very closely layered hair cards. Actually, yeah, I can see they're super close together. Okay. And then 4, we'll just put a little bit down here. All right, I'll go ahead and mirror that, and then I'll just start smoothing, making sure to smooth across gaps and thin surfaces, like so. And let's take a look. Okay, so we definitely got, we need to set our underscore L and underscore R in our mirror settings. That way these get mirrored properly. There we go. And you can see that once you've posed it and you do this, you can kind of, you get better separation of elements. Hair is messy, so to me it's kind of okay if this isn't super perfect, because the motion isn't going to be extreme. Now some of this we'll want to fix, but like what I'm really looking for here motion wise is like kind of, you know, subtle, just some life to it. So to me this is pretty good. For these areas here, what we can do is we can grab these particular elements. This one too. And we can go to set weights, and this one we can do limit to component selection. That way we're only smoothing. Looks like I selected something that grabbed a lot of stuff. So there we go. That way we just smooth across that selection. You can try doing the iterations up so it kind of gets to that smoothing point faster. You can select this. Cool. I think that should do it. So let's go ahead and unhide our shoulder pads, belt, upper body, arm armor, and this. And if I move my root, I should see that all that stuff comes with. And if I, you know, just do some quick test here. Oops, wrong one. Great. that's going to be tricky, but I think we can. What we'll do is when we get to the physics set up in Unreal, we can see if we can't maybe put some collisions on that and see what that does. I just wanted to have some joints in here so that an animator could pose it if they wanted to, and then we'll simulate on top of that pose. Okay, so let's take a look and see what else we have here. We've got the legs. So I'm going to do the lower body. I'm going to stop this video here and do the lower body in another video.